Last month, my father called asking if my company was hiring after my brother's third failed startup. The college fund they stole from me 6 years ago is completely gone, and now they want me to save them. My name is Sophie Martinez. I'm 23 years old, and this story is about what happens when parents pick favorites so obviously that it destroys their family. I grew up in Austin, Texas with my parents, Robert and Diana, and my older brother Ethan, who's 26. From the time I was born, Ethan was the golden child. He was charismatic, confident, a natural salesman who could convince anyone of anything. My parents thought he was destined for greatness, the next Steve Jobs or Elon Musk. I was quieter, more analytical. I got straight A's without trying, won academic competitions, tutored other kids for fun, but none of that impressed my parents the way Ethan's big personality did. Dad owned a small commercial real estate firm making around $200,000 a year. Mom was a paralegal making $60,000. They weren't rich, but comfortable enough to save for college for both kids. They'd started college funds for us when we were babies. By the time I was 10, mine had about $40,000 in it. Ethan's had about the same. The plan was that by the time we each turned 18, there'd be enough to cover most of a 4-year degree at a state school. Ethan graduated high school and went to University of Texas. Lasted 3 semesters before dropping out because he had better ideas than what college could teach him. He wanted to start a business, be his own boss, make millions before he was 30. My parents supported this completely. College isn't for everyone, Dad would say. Ethan's an entrepreneur. He needs to follow his vision. His first business idea was a meal prep delivery service for college students. He convinced my parents to invest $15,000 as startup capital. They pulled it from his college fund, which they justified because he wasn't using it for school anyway. The business failed within 8 months. Ethan had no idea how to manage inventory, delivery logistics, or food safety regulations. He just knew he wanted to be a CEO. He moved back home at 21, still convinced he was going to be a millionaire. Started brainstorming his next big idea while living rent-free in his old room and working part-time at a coffee shop. Meanwhile, I was killing it in high school. Junior year, I had a 4.2 GPA, was president of the debate team, volunteered at a women's shelter, and had already taken 5 AP classes. I was looking at colleges, planning to study business administration and finance. I'd assumed my college fund was safe, growing, waiting for me. I'd assumed my parents had learned from throwing away money on Ethan's failed business. I was wrong. The conversation happened on a Tuesday night during dinner. I was 17, a senior in high school, and I'd just told my parents that I'd gotten early acceptance to my top 3 schools, UT Austin, Texas A&M, and University of Houston. Dad put down his fork and looked at me. Sophie, we need to talk about college financing. Okay, I've been looking at scholarships too, so hopefully I can reduce how much we need from the fund. That's good because there's been a change. We're not going to be able to give you the college fund. I stared at him. What do you mean? Mom jumped in. Your father and I have been discussing Ethan's future. He has another business idea, and this one is really promising. We believe in him. Okay, but what does that have to do with my college fund? Dad cleared his throat. We're refinancing the house to access equity, and we're going to use your college fund to help capitalize Ethan's new startup. It's a tech platform for connecting freelance contractors with homeowners. He's got a whole business plan, projections, everything. This is the one that's going to work. I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. You're taking my college fund to give to Ethan for another startup after the last one failed? This is different, Ethan said from across the table. He'd been quiet until now, but he had this excited look on his face. I learned from my mistakes. This idea actually has legs. I've got developers interested, potential investors looking at it. I just need seed money to get started. That's my college money. I've been planning on using that for years. Mom's voice got firm. Sophie, you're an excellent student. You can get scholarships. You can take out loans like everyone else does. Ethan needs this opportunity. He's got a real business idea with actual profit potential. He had a real business idea last time, and it failed. Because he was young and inexperienced, Dad said. He's older now. He knows what he's doing. He's 23 and has no successful business experience. How does he know what he's doing? Don't be negative, Mom snapped. This is your brother we're talking about. Family supports family. Family supports family, but you're taking my college fund. You'll be fine, Dad said like it was already decided. You're smart. You'll figure it out. Ethan needs this chance. We can't let him miss this opportunity because we're holding on to money that you can replace with scholarships. I looked at Ethan. He wouldn't meet my eyes, but he wasn't objecting either. He was okay with them stealing from me to fund his dream. How much are you taking? I asked quietly. All of it, Dad said. The fund has $48,000 now. Combined with the refinance equity, we'll be investing $65,000 total in Ethan's startup. And what about when I need money for college? Apply for scholarships, take out federal loans, get a part-time job. That's what most kids do. Most kids' parents don't steal their college fund. Watch your tone, Mom warned. We're not stealing anything. We're investing in your brothers. Future, which benefits the whole family. When his company succeeds, we'll all be better off. I wanted to scream. I wanted to flip the table. Instead, I just said, okay. Okay? Dad looked surprised. Yeah. Okay. You've made your decision. I'll figure it out on my own. I went to my room and cried for about 20 minutes. Then I dried my tears and got to work. I spent the next 2 weeks completely overhauling my college application strategy. I wasn't looking at schools I wanted to go to anymore. I was looking at schools that offered full-ride scholarships to high-achieving students. I found 7 schools that offered complete need-based or merit-based full rides. I applied to all of them, spent every free moment perfecting my essays, getting extra recommendation letters, building the strongest application possible. My guidance counselor, Mrs. Chen, noticed the change in my approach. Sophie, these are all great schools, but they're not the ones you were excited about before. What changed? I told her everything. She looked horrified. That's unconscionable. Your parents are funding your brother's business with your college money? Apparently, family supports family, just not in my direction. She shook her head. I'm going to write you the best recommendation letter I've ever written, and I'm going to make some calls to admissions offices I know. You deserve better than this. Over the next 3 months, I watched Ethan blow through money. He hired developers who charged him $50 an hour for work he didn't understand. He rented expensive office space downtown because he thought looking professional mattered more than actually being profitable. He spent thousands on branding and marketing before having a working product. My parents kept saying how proud they were of him, how he was building something real. Meanwhile, I got my acceptance letters. Full ride to Texas State University with a stipend for books and living expenses. Full ride to University of North Texas with housing included. Full ride to Sam Houston State with a work-study program that would give me spending money. I chose Texas State because it had the strongest business program of the 3, and the stipend meant I wouldn't need to take loans for living expenses. I told my parents at dinner. That's wonderful, honey, Mom said, barely looking up from her phone. When do you start? August. I'll need help moving. We'll see. Ethan's launch party is that same week. We might be busy. His launch party, for an app that still didn't work properly and had 0 users. Right, I'll figure it out. I moved myself into the dorms with help from Mrs. Chen and her husband. My parents were at Ethan's launch party, where 60 people showed up to celebrate an app that would fail within 4 months. College was the best thing that ever happened to me. I was away from the constant comparison to Ethan, away from parents who'd made it clear I was the backup child. I threw myself into my studies, joined the business school's investment club, started freelancing as a financial consultant for small businesses. By my sophomore year, I was making $2,000 a month from freelancing while maintaining a 4.0 GPA. By junior year, I'd landed an internship at a venture capital firm that paid $25 an hour. I learned everything I could about business, investment, what made startups succeed or fail. Ironically, I was learning exactly what Ethan should have learned before taking my college money. Meanwhile, Ethan's startup collapsed. 4 months after launch, he had 37 users and 0 revenue. The developers quit because he couldn't pay them. The office space got too expensive, and he moved back home. The app quietly disappeared from the App Store. My parents never mentioned the failure to me. They just started talking about Ethan's next idea, how he was pivoting and learning from feedback. He started his second company when I was 19, another delivery service, this time for alcohol. He convinced my parents to invest another $20,000, pulled from the refinanced equity of the house. This one lasted 6 months before running into legal issues with alcohol distribution laws that Ethan hadn't bothered to research. I graduated college at 21 with a 4.0 GPA, 0 debt, and a job offer from the VC firm where I'd interned. Starting salary was $75,000 a year as a junior analyst. I moved to Dallas, got my own apartment, and started my career. I was good at my job, really good. I understood business models, could spot potential in early-stage companies, knew how to evaluate founders and their ideas. Within 8 months, I got promoted to analyst. 6 months after that, senior analyst. My salary jumped to $95,000. I didn't tell my parents about the promotions. They didn't ask about my career anyway. The few times we talked, they wanted to tell me about Ethan's latest idea or complain about money being tight. We're still paying off the refinance, Dad mentioned once. That investment in Ethan's companies didn't pay off like we hoped. I didn't say I told you so. I just said that's tough and changed the subject. When I was 22, Ethan started his third company, a social media platform for home improvement enthusiasts. He somehow convinced an actual outside investor to put in $15,000, and my parents matched it with another $15,000 they didn't have, using credit cards. I heard about this from my aunt, Dad's sister, who called me furious. Your parents are going into debt to fund your brother's failures. They've already wasted over $100,000 on his businesses. This is insane. I know. And they took your college fund for this. You know that's not okay, right? I know. But I'm out now. I'm doing fine. They made their choice. You're a better person than I would be. Maybe. Or maybe I was. Just tired of caring. 3 months ago, everything changed. I got promoted to vice president of investments at my firm. At 23 years old, I was the youngest VP in company history. My salary jumped to $175,000 a year plus bonuses. We announced it with a press release because it was unusual enough to be newsworthy. Local VC firm promotes 23-year-old to VP position, making her one of the youngest investment executives in Texas. The article got picked up by several business publications. My LinkedIn blew up, and apparently my parents saw it. Dad called me the next day. Sophie, honey, I saw the article about your promotion. Vice president? That's incredible. It was the most enthusiastic he'd sounded about my career ever. Thanks, Dad. We're so proud of you. I was just telling your mother, our daughter is a VP at 23. That's remarkable. Listen, I wanted to ask you something. Your company, are you hiring at all? Any positions open? My stomach dropped. Why? Well, your brother's latest venture isn't panning out. The social media app, it's just not gaining traction like he hoped. He needs to find stable income while he regroups, and I thought maybe you could help him out. You know, get him an interview or something. Dad, Ethan has no experience in venture capital or investment analysis, but he's got business experience. 3 startups, that's impressive on a resume. 3 failed startups. They didn't fail, they just didn't succeed. There's a difference. Not really. Sophie, come on. He's your brother. Family helps family. Those words, the same words they'd used when taking my college fund. Family helps family, I repeated slowly. That's interesting. So you'll help him? Where was family helping family when you took my college fund? Silence on the other end. That was different, Dad finally said. That was an investment in Ethan's future. And how did that investment pay off? Oh, right, it didn't. He failed 3 times, and you're $100,000 in debt. Sophie, that's not fair. What's not fair is stealing $48,000 from your daughter to fund your son's ego. What's not fair is telling me to take out loans while handing him cash. What's not fair is acting like I didn't exist unless you needed something from me. We never acted like you didn't exist. Dad, you missed my college move-in day for Ethan's launch party. You forgot my birthday 2 years in a row but never missed one of his pitch presentations. You took my college fund without asking if I was okay with it. Don't tell me I mattered. You were always more independent. You didn't need us like Ethan did. I needed parents who treated me like I was worth investing in. Instead, I got parents who saw me as the backup plan while Ethan got everything. That's not true. It's completely true. And now you want me to give him a job at my company? The company I built a career at while you were funding his failures? He's struggling, Sophie. We're all struggling. Your mother and I are drowning in debt from the refinancing and the credit cards. We thought at least one of his companies would work out. We believed in him. You believed in him with my money. What do you want us to say? That we made a mistake? That would be a start. Fine, we made a mistake. We should have saved your college fund. We shouldn't have refinanced the house. We shouldn't have put so much faith in Ethan's business ideas. There. Are you happy? No. Because you're not sorry you did it. You're sorry it didn't work out. Dad was quiet for a long moment. Will you help your brother or not? No. He's family. So am I. But that didn't stop you from taking everything from me to give to him. Now he can figure it out the same way I did. Take out loans, get a part-time job, do what everyone else does. I hung up. Dad called back 3 more times that day. I didn't answer. He left voicemails saying I was being selfish, that I'd changed, that success had made me cold. Mom called next. Sophie, your father told me about your conversation. I can't believe how you spoke to him. I can't believe you're calling to guilt trip me instead of apologizing for stealing from me. We didn't steal. We borrowed from your fund with the intention of paying it back when Ethan's company succeeded. But it didn't succeed. None of them did. And now you want me to bail him out. You're in a position to help. Why wouldn't you help your own brother? Because he's 26 years old and has failed 3 times using money that should have been mine. He needs to learn to fail on his own dime, not mine. When did you become so heartless? Around the time you told me to take out loans while handing him my college fund. That's when I learned that I was on my own in this family. Mom hung up on me. Over the next 2 weeks, the calls kept coming. Dad called every single day, sometimes twice a day. Voicemails ranged from guilt-tripping to anger to desperate pleas. Sophie, we're going to lose the house if we can't make these payments. Your brother needs income. Why won't you help? I can't believe you'd abandon your family like this, after everything we did for you. You're making $175,000. You could afford to help us. Why are you being so selfish? Everything they did for me. That was rich. Ethan called too. Hey, Soph, I know Dad talked to you. Look, I'm in a tough spot. I need a job and you're connected. Can you just get me an interview? That's all I'm asking. No? Why not? Because you have zero qualifications for my industry and I'm not risking my professional reputation to help you. I'm your brother. You're the brother who took my college fund without a second thought. You're the brother who watched our parents choose you over me for my entire life and never once said it was unfair. You're the brother who's failed 3 times and still thinks you deserve more chances on someone else's money. That's harsh. It's honest. You want a job? Apply like everyone else, but don't expect me to hand you anything after what this family took from me. He tried the guilt trip next. Sophie, I'm about to get evicted. I can't pay rent. Mom and Dad can't help me anymore. You're literally the only person who can. Maybe you should have thought about that before starting 3 businesses with no viable business plan. I'm going to end up homeless. I lived on a tight budget through college with zero family support because you took my money. You'll figure it out. He hung up. My aunt called me a few days later. Sophie, your parents called me asking for money. They're in bad shape financially. I know. They said you refused to help. Is that true? I refused to give Ethan a job he's not qualified for, yeah. They're family. They're struggling. They chose this struggle when they gambled $100,000 on Ethan's ego. They made their bed. You're really going to let them lose their house? They refinanced their house to fund business ideas they didn't research. They took my college fund without asking. They told me to take out loans while handing him cash. Yes, I'm going to let them face the consequences of their choices. That's cold, Sophie. It's the same energy they gave me when I was 17 and needed help. I'm just returning the favor. Even she couldn't argue with that. Last week, Ethan's 3rd startup officially shut down. The investor pulled out after 9 months of zero growth. Ethan moved back in with my parents, who are now supporting a 26-year-old man with no income and no prospects. Dad called me yesterday. His voice was different, tired, defeated. Sophie, I need to tell you something. We're filing for bankruptcy. The house is going into foreclosure. We can't keep up with the payments. I'm sorry to hear that. That's all you have to say? What do you want me to say, Dad? I want you to help us. You're making good money. You could loan us enough to catch up on the mortgage. Save the house. How much would that be? $20,000 would cover what we're behind and give us a few months buffer. $20,000. Less than half of what they took from me. No. Sophie, please, this is our home. We'll lose everything. You lost everything when you gambled it on Ethan's dreams. That's not my problem to fix. How can you be so cruel? We're your parents. And I was your daughter. But that didn't stop you from treating me like I was disposable compared to Ethan. You made it very clear that his success mattered more than my education. His dreams mattered more than my future. His comfort mattered more than my financial security. Now you want me to save you from the consequences of those choices? We made mistakes. I admitted that. You admitted it when you needed something from me. Not before, not when it would have mattered. What do you want from us? Groveling? An apology? Fine, I'm sorry we took your college fund. I'm sorry we didn't support you the way we supported Ethan. I'm sorry we made you feel like you didn't matter. There. Does that fix anything? No. Because you're not sorry you did it. You're sorry it backfired. Sophie, please, we're going to be homeless. Your brother has no income, nowhere to go. What's going to happen to us? I thought about that 17-year-old girl sitting at the dinner table, being told her college fund was gone. I thought about moving myself into a dorm because my parents were too busy with Ethan's launch party. I thought about every promotion, every achievement, every success that they barely acknowledged because I was the child who didn't need them. You're going to figure it out, I said. The same way you told me to figure it out when you took everything I had. You'll apply for assistance. You'll downsize. You'll get jobs you're overqualified for. You'll learn what it's like to rebuild from nothing while the people who were supposed to support you watch from a distance. I can't believe you're doing this. I'm not doing anything. You did this to yourselves. Every choice, every dollar spent on Ethan's failures, every time you picked him over me, this is where those choices led. I'm just not saving you from them. We're family. Family supports family, right? You taught me that. You also taught me that support only goes one direction. Now you get to learn what it feels like to be on the other side of that lesson. I hung up. I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. Part of me feels guilty. They're my parents. They're struggling, and I have the money to help. But the bigger part of me remembers being 17 and having my future stolen to fund my brother's ego. Remembers working 3 jobs in college while Ethan lived rent-free at home. Remembers every time they chose him over me without a second thought. They made their choice. I'm just making mine. And if that makes me cold, heartless, cruel, so be it. I learned from the best.